All right, I had received feedback. It was very helpful feedback that in my last videos I was taping and altering the voice speed, which made me sound like a hamster. But people have trouble hearing that. So I'm going to talk in regular speed and see if this one, gets better comments. I'm going to go to my website first, omarvision.com, and go to the tutorials page. And I just want to get the model that I worked on for these high-speed voice videos here. So let me download uh, yeah, I already did. Let me download the cat mesh, just the mesh part, to my desktop. And boop, there it goes. Now let's open it up, and I'm gonna start with the bones part here in this video. So here's my cat. Let me just view it hard on sideways. Um, Let me go to object mode. I just want to position the base offset of this cat to be like right there on the floor with that orange dot that you see there, this orange dot. That's basically the center of this cat mesh right now. I just want it to be right there. All right, so I hold the shift key and let me just put this down so I can see it in view here. Let's go into transparency mode and let me start to add the bones, okay? Another word for the bones is armature. So here, let me add armature, and I'll add my first bone. And first bone's going to come up wherever that 3D cursor is. It's right here. Now I'm going to go to edit mode so I can add the rest of the bones. And I'm going to leave this first bone right here on the floor so that if I wanted to move my cat up and down, the whole cat, all the skeleton, I could just tell where the floor is, like right with the feet. So when I add the next bone here, I'm just going to extrude out, parent, clear, disconnect bone. Okay, I hope I disconnected it now. Let me select the head, and there we go. See, when I separate it, there'll be a little black line to say that it's still, that bone is still apparent, but they don't have to touch. So this will be the backbone that I'm starting off with. Now I'm just going to use E to extrude out a couple of backbones, and then into the head with a neck bone and a head bone. Okay. Now up here in the front, let me add a leg. So I'll have like 1, 2, 3, and then 4 pieces. And back here, I'll add let me maybe move this up a little. Okay. Back here, I'll add some bones down for this leg. So I press E, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So far, so good, right? Then back here, I'll also, from this point, add in tail. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I have all my basic bones. These are all bones. And if I look at it from the side view, you'll see that the legs, everything was going down the middle since I had it in that perfect X orthographic view. But these legs, I got to pick a side for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick the bottom part of the legs in the back, and then I'll change my view here and press, well, I don't even have to do that. I just put it like this. Then I'll press G for move and X to move on the X axis and move it into the leg. Okay, does that look good? Maybe a little bit more. G, X, and I'll get it in there. And then maybe this, I'll just give it a little bend. So G, X, and a little bit out more. It's kind of important to not have the bones perfectly straight. If I want to move up and down and the bones are like in a perfect straight line, then I kind of won't be able to use my IK, the inverse kinematic. So I always give a little bit of an angle in each of the bones. Now let me pick the front legs, and the same thing. I'll use G, X, and move it into the foot. And I'll give a little bit of angle up here, GX, so it's a smoother turn in. And now I have one side of the legs there, right in there, just right. And you're saying, okay, what about the other side? I'm not going to do the other side yet. I'm not going to do the other side yet until I finish setting up the bones on one side. And I'm not finished because I have to name the bones. I have to name the bones. I don't have to name the bones, but I'm going to name the bones because it gets really confusing looking at a bunch of bones over here in the list. You see here's the armature, And if you just look at, it says bone, then it says bone, 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 bone. So when you give them a name, it helps out. So I'm seeing the names here, and I could see them over here in this screen too. I just have to go and click this armature icon and go to viewport display and click name. And now I can see all the names that are currently there. Let's start off by naming this bone root bone. I'm going to pick the bone. Now I go to the bone icon. And here it says the name that it is, bone. I'm going to change the name to underscore root. Okay. And now let's go along and change all the other bone names. This is going to be leg 1, leg 2, leg 3, leg, I'll call this the foot. Over here, this is arm 1, arm 2, arm 3, and now I'll call this the paw. And let me call this back 1, back 2, back 3, neck, head, and over here, we got tail. Tail 1, tail 2, tail 3. I named everything that I have here. Now I'm going to show you a trick. The bones on this side, it's not saying if it's left or right, but not Unity, Blender has a thing where, let me just select these bones on this side, hold shift and select this other arm here. Now these are all the bones that are going to be duplicated for one side to the other, and currently the one that I have selected is the left side of this y-axis. So I'm going to make a copy on the y-axis to the other side. First I have to name these bones appropriately for the left side. So there's a tool here called names. There's a menu item called names, and I'm going to auto name left and right, and Blender's going to determine that these are on the left and give these a left naming. See, arm 1.l.l.l.l.l.l.l.l.l. All right, so now the cool thing is that since these are named arm1.l, if I want to, I could pick this other tool here in the menu thing called symmetrize, and bam, the right side's right in there. But like I said, I don't want to do that yet, so I press Control Z. First, I want to add in my IK bones. All right, so I'm going to pick this, let's pick a joint here. I could turn off the naming now since we have accomplished that. All right, so I'm in edit mode, having an armature selected. Let's go like this, and I'm going to pick I'm going to actually put a bone connected to here. So I select this tail of this bone, and I press E, and I extrude out a bone. When I extrude it out, it could go flying all over the place, or I could just press the Y key again to keep it moving on the Y only, and I'll just pull it out there. That's my foot bone that I'm going to use for IK. So I'll name this one something different, but first I have to disconnect it. Actually, I have to clear the parent, so I'll select parent, clear, and I pick clear parent this time. Okay, and now to make this IK bone to here, I still have that selected, and I select the bone I want to IK it to, and then I go to pose mode, and I press Shift I. So, bam, it becomes the IK bone for this. There's a little yellow dotted line here saying that this IK is going to control all through here and then back to here. But I could change that because I really want this just to control the leg. So what I did is I clicked on this icon here, the bone constraint properties, still with my bone selected, and then I go ahead and say to only chain to 1, 2, 3 bones up, and now you can see the yellow line is only going to control up to there. I'm in pose mode right now, and if I say G, you see when it moves, it only controls up to that bone there. Now I kind of let go and, oh, I lost my pose. I could set it back. I could just right click and say clear the transforms, and boom, it goes back in place. Cool. So now let me just do that also to this foot here. Let me go back to edit mode. Let's see if we remember what I did. I pick the bone, E, on the y-axis, keep it straight. So I extrude out a bone, then I select that bone, right click, and I clear the parent. Then I select who I'm going to control, go to pose mode, and then Shift I. And I say to active bone. Boom. This turns yellow. And you see we have a yellow line because it's going to go all the way back to the root bone. Let's go over here, see the bone constraints, and change the chain length from 1, 2, 3. Just 3 bones up just to control there, and I could test it. Select the bone and press G to move it around, and you can see it only controls up to there. Okay, then I could clear whatever I did like that. So we got these 2 bones here. What about this root bone? It's not an IK bone, but it is the root bone to the whole mesh. If I try to move this, the whole mesh moves. But since I kind of anchored the feet to those 2 IK bones, the feet they'll stay where they are. So this is cool. That's the bones moving. When I use this or escape, I could also just rotate it, pressing R, and then the whole model will try to go up and down. And you see when I kind of bend off too far, how the front leg, it's still trying to point to where the bones are, but it has to stay connected, so it kind of stretches off like that. Yeah, so press escape. So anyway, so I got these 2 IK bones here, and that's basically how I add IK bones. I could add more, but this is a tutorial. I want to show you another trick. Let me name these guys right. Pick the bone and say IK foot dot L. Oh, it was a capital L, right? And I'll call this one IK paw dot capital L. Right, that way the names all match up. All right, so say I got now the IK on these bones. Now I'm going to do the symmetrize. So let me select everything, shift, and select this too, just the legs. And then I'll do right click, symmetrize. Oh, I have to go back to edit mode. Right click, symmetrize. Bam, now I got all the legs on here. And this copy over here in the back, it is not working. No. Question, why is it not working? Because I'm not in pose mode. Pose mode. Let's test this out here. G. It works. Okay, escape. So now I got my 2 sides of the legs. Now I'm going to show you another trick. You could change the color of the bones. Since these are IK bones, I want them to look a little different. Let me pick the ones on the left side over here. And then, where do I do it? I go here. Right? Do I go here? Do I go here? Do I go? Oh, bone groups. Okay. I have these 2 picked. I'm in pose mode. Then I go to the armature icon, bone groups, and I say a plus. I'm going to make a new group, and this is going to be my left side. So let me double click and type left side. All right. And I'm going to assign the bones that I have selected to be the left side group of bones. Bam. Now over here, there's a thing called colors, and this is the trick. I could change the color. So the bones on my left side, I'm going to make them color green. Bam. And you see that? Look, they turn green. That's cool. Now when I'm looking at it, I could easily tell I'm picking the right bone. Let's do the same thing. Let's make another group here, plus, and I'll call this one right side. Double click, right side. And now let me pick these IK bones on the right side. Bing, bang. And assign. And now let's say the right side is blue. You know, green and blue. Bam. So now I got 2 sides. Whenever I'm picking a bone, I could tell if I'm on the right side or not. It will help me from making some mistakes. And if I want, this is a special bone too. It's not in there, so I'll give it a color. Let's make this one, oops, kind of type something. Let me erase this one by pressing minus. Double click here, and I'll just call this root. And what color should we give the root bone? First, let me assign it. And then what color should we give it? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Pink. Pink. All right, so cool. So we could color our bones. That's something to know. We could color our bones. Let's attach the mesh to the bones, because you see right now if I move around, the mesh isn't moving yet. So that's easy to attach the mesh to the bones. Let me go back to object mode and select the mesh first, and then shift, select the armature, then right click and say parent with automatic weights. right there. Bam. Now, if I go into pose mode, now the mesh should move with it. Yeah, okay, cool. What else I want to show you? Oh yeah, since now the bones are moving the mesh, you could visualize which bone is going to control which part of the mesh. You just go back to object mode, select the mesh, and then down here you could say weight paint. What I have to do first is look over here in the window for the properties, and there's a list of all the bones here. So say I pick, let me pick one of the backbones. If I pick IK foot or paw, and let me turn off the transparency. You see how it lights up the influence of the bone on that part? So the foot, these IK bones, I actually realize now I have a mistake because I don't want the IK bones to influence anything. I gotta make sure I scroll around to see everything. So let me say, for example, here, this is the leg right. If I have it wanting to affect anything else, with the weight brush on over here, I could pick the strength of the weight brush. So 1 will mean it's definitely going to affect. So that kind of colors it in. Red is the deepest color. And why can't I get red? I don't know. Oh, there it goes. There goes some red. And realize it's only going to paint over where there's actually vertices, okay? In case you're trying to paint and you're like, it's not changing, it's not changing. It only changes with its vertices. So now this leg bone would affect here and here. Well, that's a mistake. I don't really want that. Let me put it back. So I would just turn the weight down, off totally, and just make it totally cold. Erase yourself. But that's what the automatic weights does. It kind of picks the areas to get selected for you. So now I said that the IKs, you see they were affecting something. Let me fix that. Let's go back to object mode and put the transparency on. Let me select the IK bone over here. Okay, go to edit mode. And is it edit mode? I pick a bone, and somewhere over here, there, I guess I have to click the bone icon. You see this checkbox for deform? I could say that I don't want this bone to deform anything, so I'll uncheck. And then over here, I'll uncheck. And all the ones that I don't want to deform anything, I'll just uncheck the deform. The root bone itself is not going to affect anything. It's just going to affect the other bones. So I'll uncheck that too. Now let me see what it looks like in weight paint. I may have said don't deform, but I guess the automatic weight thing happened first. So let me fix that. What do we select first again? We select the mesh and then shift select the armature. Then we right click and say parent with automatic weights. I really should have did the deform thing first. All right, enough of a sidetrack. So what did I show you? Oh, we added the bones. We were able to name the bones automatically for the left and the right, for the left side. And then we use symmetrize to copy over to the other side. Now what do we do? I have one more trick up my sleeve that I want to show you in this video. I'm going to select the armature again. We could also change what the bone looks like. So to do that, we're going to have to go up here and make another collection. So I'm going to actually make a new collection over here, and I'm just going to call this collection the bone shapes. All right, first off, the bone shapes that we see right now, they're showing like an octahedral because here, when I click the armature, it's saying here to display as octahedral. But I could change that to stick, to B-bone, to any one of these selections here, and that's one way to change the shape of all the bones. If I want to make a custom shape for a bone, then what I do, let me just go here. I got the bone shapes selected. Let me just add a shape to the bone shapes selected. Let me just hide that for a minute. I'm just going to add another shape in here. I'm going to add I don't know, I'm going to add a cone so you can tell which way it's pointing, and let me just make it a little bit skinnier. So I made this shape here, okay? And I could color it, I could do whatever I want. This shape could be a whole other mesh, whatever it is. I made a shape and I put it in another collection. Now let me just name it custom bone shape. That's what I'm going to have it be. Now I'm going to hide that collection, show back my cat one, and select the armature again, edit mode, select a bone, or do I have to go to pose mode? I don't know. Let's try pose mode first. I select the bone, and here in the bone properties, I go to viewport display, and I could pick a custom object for that bone to show as custom bone shape, and voila! Look, the bone changed its shape. Whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-dee-doo. So sometimes if you see these videos on rigging and animation and they have these strange shapes or lines and stuff, that's how they did it with the custom bone shape. I could also just put it back the way it was by clicking this off. Now, sometimes I had a problem when I first did this. I put a custom shape and then I didn't see it change. That's because when you're in the armature section over here for a viewport display, you have to have shapes checked. So you see right now how you see that shape. If I uncheck this, I won't see that shape. Same thing goes here with the group colors. If you're trying to do the steps for changing the colors, and this is unchecked, then you don't see the colors. All right, so in this video, did I cover everything I wanted to do about boning up a thing? I think I did. And I talked in regular speed this time.
Not in super fast speed. I didn't go la-di-da, da-da-di-di-da, booty-bitty-boom-boom-boom-boody-ba. Some stuff like this. It's gonna cough up a hairball.
The next thing I want to show is that you could save poses, and that's right here. I have the armature selected, and then right here there's a pose library. And this pose right here, I'm just gonna, first I pressed A to select all. The bones are selected, the whole armature is selected. Now say new, and I'll press plus to add in a new pose, and the pose is, boom, this. Let me name this one original. The original pose. Okay, and I press enter. Now, let me move the bones around a little, and then I will, let's see, I'll make a pose where the cat is standing, like you see in some of those YouTube videos where a cat stands like a human.
So I'm just gonna grab this bone and pick it up. Maybe I have to turn the root bone a little bit, so I'm gonna press R just to bring the hips back. And then here's the shoulders there. Now, I'm pick it up a little bit more. Let's see. The tail, meow, meow, meow. Let's bring it down like that, maybe. And these are the two hand bones. Let's kind of bring the hand like this. And I think the cat will look a little bit more natural if I just rotate the neck like that, you know.
This is one of those cats from a YouTube video. Now, if I want to save this pose, let me press A, add a new pose here. And then I'll call this one stand. So now if I want to go back to the first pose, after all this stuff I did, I could pick original and then click on this magnifying glass. Boom, that's the original. If I want to go to stand, I could click on that and go back to standing.
There you go.